All right, let's do a personal story here. So, as I mentioned, Confronting Evil, you got the opening chapter inside the Hamas raid, a horror on what they did. On that day, all right, October 7th, 2023, children were murdered and taken hostage by these savages. All right, one of the kids was Abigail Moore Edan, 3 years old. 3 years old, taken by Hamas. Joining us now from New York City is Liz Hirsh Naftali. She is the aunt of little Abigail, and she's written a book. And I recommend this book very highly to you. Saving Abigail, the true story of the abduction and rescue of a 3-year-old hostage. So this must be a joyous day for you, Ms. Naftali, correct?
Listen, it's a day of great joy and hope and heartbreak. I mean, it's been 2 years, and what we're seeing are young men, sons and fathers coming home, and there is so much beauty in that. But we also know that, as you said earlier, there's still 26 others that aren't coming home alive, and they need to come home and be buried. But so it's one of those mixes of both, like, the most amazing, what President Trump and his team was able to accomplish was to bring these people free, but there are still people that need to come home and be buried.
And then rest assured, they will be. They will be. By this time tomorrow, I expect that all of that will be done. Now let's get to your niece. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I had to read your book very quickly. So it's 3 kids in a home, 2 parents, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hamas savages kicked the door in and killed the parents and kidnapped the 3 kids. Pretty much that's what happened, right?
Actually, just a little change, that they came in while my niece was putting the 3 kids in a safe room because missiles were flying, and they murdered her in front of the 3 kids, 3, 6, and 9. And they ran outside, and their father was a journalist, and he had taken photos, and he was running back because he had done this before, but he realized this morning, October 7th, 2023, was a terror attack. And he picked up Abigail and ran. The 4 of them were running, and he was murdered by the terrorists, fell onto Abigail, and a 6 and 9-year-old brother and sister ran back to their home and hid in a closet for 14 hours next to their mother's dead body. And Abigail, we thought had been killed, but she had actually miraculously survived and then was taken as a hostage with another family into Gaza for 51 days.
Okay. What happened to the kids who went into the safe room?
The kids in the closet, they were rescued by what we would consider Navy SEALs after 14 hours while there was still a war going on in their community on October 7th.
So were these Israeli forces that rescued them?
Yes.
Okay. So they're safe. But little Abigail, 3 years old again, is gone, kidnapped, out of there. And the parents are dead, killed in front of their own offspring. It's just talk about confronting evil. I mean, my God. Okay. So Abigail gets out. Tell our audience how that happened.
So Abigail was a hostage for 51 days with women and children. They were released at the end of November. There was a deal that was done by the Biden administration, brokered by the Qataris and by the Egyptians. And when we saw Abigail on the 3rd day of this release, I knew that she was safe. But a few days later, it broke down, and then nothing happened until 2025, when President Trump came in, and he was able, with Steve Witkoff and his team, to get that next deal, which we saw at inauguration time, started to bring home more hostages.
Right, that was the deal that I mentioned. That deal began, just so you know, I don't even know if you know this, about 3 weeks after Trump was elected president. And it took about a month, 5 weeks for it to come to fruition. So Abigail is released. She comes home to Israel. Who takes care of her?
So, Bill, like when you say she comes home, like her house was destroyed, this neighborhood, this community destroyed by Hamas terrorists. So she does come back to my niece who did survive across this community on October 7th. She and her husband and their 3 kids miraculously survived. And she and her siblings went and lived and now live with them. And they live in a different part of the country because where they live, they can't go. And Abigail is being taken care of beautifully by her aunt and uncle, but without her parents.
Okay, so the 3 children are reunited. An aunt and an uncle are caring for them. Now, you would say that maybe this is they live happily ever after, but they can't possibly live happily ever after, can they, after all they've seen and been through?
No. And, when you tell people this story, and I've kept telling the story for now almost 2 years of what happened, it touches people because a 3-year-old child was taken as a hostage after witnessing her parents' murder. And here she is now a 5-year-old and she goes to school, but everything that she has is based on a trauma of October 7th that she will carry with her for the rest of her life.
Does she have manifestations of that? I know you're in very close touch with the family. Is it nightmares, or is there anything about what she went through that is demonstrative today?
Listen, she knows she was a hostage. She knows that she was starved. She knows she was kept in the dark. She knows that there was no food and no hygiene. But she also, when she hears a loud boom and a loud sound, she does go like this because she was a hostage in a building that for 51 days, the area was being bombarded by the Israeli Defense Force as they were trying to, bring home hostages. This child was suffering from it. So there are things like that. But, she's a child, and what we are letting is for the things to come out from her naturally and to just give her the love. And what I've learned is, I'll just tell you, we had popcorn one day and she said, I got to eat popcorn one time in Gaza. And you think to yourself, that was her memory, that one day she got to eat popcorn in Gaza. And so when you know that she remembers everything.
Homeowners, when is the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles, and your equity is the target. Criminals forge your signature. Just like that, your home title can be transferred out of your name. That's why I partnered up with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Please use my promo code BILL at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you will get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts of any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code BILL. The older children, do they have any kind of flashbacks that are consistent?
They're very closed at this point. They talk with their aunt and uncle who are their parents, but it's really, we're letting it come out naturally.
I got it. So they're not any child psychiatry or anything like that. You're just kind of letting them be kids, and then when it comes out, you'll deal with it, correct?
Right, but just keep in mind, all children that were affected by October 7th in Israel, thousands and thousands of children all have therapists, as do my family. The
And
adults
they were assigned by the government?
by the government and by it's been done both privately and with the government, but literally everybody, Israelis are traumatized. We talk about this great day and we talk about everything, but I know for our family, until Abigail was released, we could not even begin to move forward. And I know for these families, they can just start to move forward with their loved ones home, but it's a nation that is waiting to move forward emotionally.
So you live in New York City. I'm right outside the city boundary. And then you see what happens at Columbia and about the demonstrations, and the far left people hate Israel, always have. How do you process that?
Look, since the beginning when Abigail was taken, and I really say stolen, she was stolen on October 7th as an orphan. And people then said to me, when people were tearing down the posters and defacing a little child, I pitied them. I thought how sad that is where people are, and so hateful. And for 2 years, even when Abigail was taken, I was fighting for an end to the fighting. But it started with bringing back all of our hostages that were stolen. And Abigail was one of those, a 3-year-old child. So one of the things that I will tell you is I believe, and President Trump has said this, and Steve Witkoff has said it, is that we have to reject hate. And that is hateful. What is going on in those campuses is hateful. And I look at myself and so many hostage families as looking, how do we actually bring a peace, which President Trump is dedicated to, that makes it safe for kids on both sides? So the irony of this moment, Bill, is that I believe that the work that we are doing, and we can be different politically, but we are coming together, which is saying enough hate, and how do we move forward and bring peace to the region?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get through to the real fanatical Mandani wing. I mean, that must be painful for you as well. See that a guy might be elected the mayor of the city in which you live who can't stand Israel, and you'll never convert him no matter what you do.
Look, I've learned in this process, I'm going to talk to people who want to know the truth and want to work together. And I will say this, that throughout my travels in the States, in New York, and the world, there are truly a lot of really good people. And I believe they are the majority, and the minority of people that you've discussed that are very loud and very vocal. I can't convince them to be on the side of truth and justice. So I'm going to talk to people who could be very different politically, very different nationally or religiously, but that want to know the truth and accept that on October 7th, there was a terror attack in Israel, and it affected Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Those people didn't care. They just wanted to kill.
Well, that is the truth. So, Liz, we appreciate it very much. Again, the book is Saving Abigail, the true story of the abduction and rescue of a 3-year-old hostage. And you really want to know the truth, as Liz just said, you read this book. And we wish you the best, Liz. If we can ever be of any help to the family at all, you let us know, okay? Thanks for helping us out tonight.